Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipano Saddharma Sangstapako Lokanam Hitakarano Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuligo Sri Jiva Goswami. So really, at the Radha Damodar temple, they're the deities of Srila Jiva Goswami, and we're told he's caring for Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and the others as they got older. He was, relatively speaking, younger and more fit in that way. So as they aged, he's taking care of them very nicely, very beautifully. When we came, like we hear about Prabhupada's Bhajan Kutir there, when we first came, Nyasi Maharaj may remember, because they say, oh, the prasadam hall, like where Prabhupada takes prasadam, but we were told it was the Goswamis was special. That's where they would get together, because we sometimes forget, they will also do that. All the things that devotees normally do. But one thing we learn is that, or we can say, why are there six? And what makes one different than another? Are they just identical, clones of one another, and therefore they're the six Goswamis because they're just identical? So this group of six, they're just the same. We learned, like for us in connection with Srila Prabhupada, we thought like Prabhupada, that's what a pure devotee is. And so we thought in the beginning, anyone who would be a pure devotee would be a clone of Prabhupada. He would walk like Prabhupada, talk like Prabhupada, like that. Really, we thought that. And I did. So when I met Srila Guru Maharaj, in the beginning, whatever he said, I would reference to something Prabhupada had said, or a scripture, a book, as if I was certifying what he was saying was bona fide. I'm just revealing, I mean, this is obviously inappropriate, offensive, borderline offensive, whatever you want to say. But because I couldn't believe that there could be two. And I had this notion that if there was someone, he would have to be exactly like Prabhupada, but yet here was someone before me who was, as the Thai people like to say, same, but different. So I could see like, well, he's just like Prabhupada, but he's not. But it's the quality, and it was a delightful sort of confusion. But in time, I thought, instead of every time Srila Sridhar Maharaj says something, then you search within yourself for some sort of verification of something that Prabhupada said, or wrote in a letter, or wrote in a book. Why don't you just shelve that for a while and just listen to him directly? Because I was developing faith in him. And I thought, then you'll go rapidly. And then you'll be in a position later to see what you should retain and what should be left. So that's what I did, and that's what happened. But I remember specifically, and I can still see that in my mind's eye, when I'm looking at Guru Maharaj, and I'm really feeling overwhelmed, and I wanted to know if there were mutual feelings, or just I'm feeling all these things for him, but like, does he also feel something for me, or which maybe is childish or selfish, but it's the truth. And Guru Maharaj, he made it clear to me that it was mutual. And that was a special moment for me. But then I said, allowed that we at one point a little bit of like a shorthand developed where I would say something if you were listening that was inexplicable, and he would answer that because we were talking about the same thing. And I said to him at one point, I said, I didn't know it could be like this. And he knew what I meant. And what I meant was, you and Prabhupada, you're identical in substance, but you're totally different individuals. And that there's a world like that, I didn't know it could be like that. And this is the most wonderful discovery for me. So that's two, but then Srila Govinda Maharaj, and we're not going to limit it, but so let's go back to the matter at hand. The 6 Goswamis. So as Guru Maharaj said once to Saraswati Thakur, Sanatan Goswami concludes Krishna Lila in one way, Rupa Goswami in another way. How do we to understand that? And Saraswati Thakur's answer was, he said, it is adhoksaja. And it's interesting, adhoksaja, that's the name of Krishna, and an increasingly favorite name. And Guru Maharaj would say things like, throughout the Bhagavatam, he's called adhoksaja. And if he were, and what does that mean? We should say something about that. Because it's interesting, beyond interesting, it's okay, that as Guru Maharaj said, adhoksaja, because these different planes, pratyaksha, paroksha, aparoksha, adhoksaja, aprakrita. He said pratyaksha means direct experience, the knowledge we gather through our sense, seeing, hearing, our sense experience. So the key word there, you see aksha, which means eyes in Sanskrit. So pratyaksha has that word, you'll see this word aksha 4 times, but not the 5th time. But anyway, 4 times, pratyaksha. So saying, what you see and experience, personal experience. But everyone realizes the limitations of that, right? Why do we have Google? They say, we're assembling like everyone's experience and making it available to everyone so you can make decisions. Whether it's about travel or health or whatever it might be, the sum total of human knowledge made available to everyone for free. With ads, I mean, someone's got to pay for all this good stuff. But anyway, so that's paroksha, means para aksha, means what was seen by another. So we realize, like, I didn't see that thing. Oh, I saw it. It's this. So that's 2 people. But we say, oh, there's people all over the world seeing and experiencing things. We want to share their knowledge and information. But then you can say, well, there's the collective human wisdom. People have been dealing with these questions for millennia. And here's what the great thinkers have said. That's part of paraksha, collective human experience. At this point, I feel obliged to say, invoke Guru Maharaj, where he said, but the sum total of the finite will never equal the infinite. So it doesn't matter how many finite you get, a whole lot of finite for a long time, millennia, it won't be the infinite. It'll still fall short of that. All right? So Guru Maharaj says, when that man said, yes, if the finite can know the infinite, he's not infinite. And Guru Maharaj said, he turned and said, if the infinite cannot make himself known to the finite, then he's not infinite. He said, shook his hand and adieu. Right? And that's the point. That's where theistic culture, the basis of theistic culture, is that the infinite can make itself known to the finite. We concede, yes. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavyed Graryam Indriyai. By the limitation of our senses, the range of our sense experience, Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsha, Karna, Patava, we can't properly estimate the infinite. Right? So, But then, save unmukhe hijabana, through service, he may consent to reveal himself. But so, pratyaksha, paroksha, individual experience, collective experience. Right? These are different ways of attaining knowledge. But then there are others who say aparoksha. There's that word again, aksha. But what they're saying is, actually, just like Guru Maharaj said, you have all this acquired prejudice on the basis of your sense experience, but which is all misleading. Right? Even William Blake, the mystical British poet, one of his famous sayings was, he said, if the doors of perception are cleansed, we will see everything as it is, infinite. What are the doors of perception? The senses. So he's saying, here's the door, gates, dwara, in the Sanskrit. The 9 gates, the eyes, ears, etc. So he's saying, if they're cleansed of what? Acquired prejudice, acquired tendency, false readings of the environment based on sensory inefficiency, false readings. If you have an instrument, Gurudev, he used to take his blood pressure with this thing you put on your wrist. But sometimes I'd see this look on his face, and I'd say, Mars, give it to me, and let me put it on mine. And if I get a crazy, we know the thing's just off. But if mine's normal and yours is, because I know what mine is. And then we'd see, it means what? If it's some wild reading, the machine needs to be recalibrated. So it's like that. If the senses are not calibrated according to Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnava, revealed truth, then everything, all the reading, no matter how intricate, interesting, is off. It's wrong. Right? So he said, if the doors of perception are cleansed, we'll see everything as it is, infinite. And he left it at that. Right? But I like to continue Blake's suggestion, or this line of thought. Then what I'm saying, then there should be necessarily, because each one of these, there's a seeing door, a hearing door, a speaking door, etc. Then there must be an infinite that can be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, touched, felt. That means the personality of Godhead. But there are those who would say, yes, actually all of this, you're right, all of this sense experience is misleading. We're misreading the environment. We're being misled about our own identity, the world, God, everything. So what you need to do, tabula rasa, clear the slate, aparoksha, no experience. And it's funny, in the 60s, there were people who thought like that. Like, take a child, raise them in the forest, don't even teach them language, let them just be natural. You can imagine a bunch of kids going around going like, ooh, he wants to eat, like.
That was Rousseau also, right?
Pardon me?
Rousseau also.
Right, Rousseau and what do you call it, the something native. There's a term for the noble savage, and there's some other term. This romantic idea that just by being in nature, you'll never be angry, envious, or you'll just be, the sweetest person imaginable. So that's taking it to the extreme. It's a romantic idea run amok, you could say. But but these people are not romantics. They're Brahmavadis. They're saying like, yes, you just need to cleanse yourself of all sense experience, and then you'll be able to realize divinity or the infinite. So aparoksha, samadhi stage, non-involvement, not negative or positive, neutral. Take the neutral position. Right. So, again, aksha. So here, aparoksha, like no individual or collective experience. Free yourself from that. And it's very similar. Guru Maharaj is saying we need Blake saying cleanse the doors of perception. Guru Maharaj saying we need to overcome acquired prejudice, acquired tendency. But then the next stage comes, adhoksaja. And that means adhoksaja. Saying, whereas generally, on the basis of individual or collective experience, we're trying to elevate ourselves toward the infinite, if you will. Here, we're told just the opposite. As Guru said, if the infinite cannot make himself known to the finite, he's not infinite. Descending, adhoksaja, means when he comes down by his own sweet will, your sense experience is suppressed. So it doesn't influence the quality of that experience. It doesn't pollute it. It doesn't misread it. It's all suppressed, and he's revealing himself to you as he is, which is in the Upanishads. Nayam atma pravachanena labhyo namedaya na bahuna shrutena. Tame vaisha vrinutena tena labhyas tashaisha atma vibrinute tanum swam. He reveals himself to whom he chooses, through whom he chooses. So, adhoksaja, and that's one of the names of Krishna. And that name will never be retired or outlive its usefulness. It's an eternal name of Krishna. And there's more to the story. Because so that's considered Vaikuntha. Revelation, descending knowledge. And just for the record, when Guru Maharaj was giving an example about this, and it was also misread by somebody, he said, because Guru Maharaj can say, he says many things, they're not an endorsement, he's just using them as reference points. So he said, just like flying saucer, he said, whenever you want to see one, you can't see it. He said, but when it comes down and reveals itself to you, then you can see it. So some devotee went off, Guru Maharaj said flying saucers are real. He's just using it as an example. Right? UFO, you know. So he said, you can't see one when you want to. You know what a UFO is? UFO? You know, anyway.
It may be out of fashion now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because everyone's got one now. You have one, right?
Yeah, I told you that was secret.
But that's what he's saying. You like when the people go like they're looking, and you know, he's saying it's just like that. No, you won't see anything. But when you least expect, when the flying saucer comes down and reveals itself, then you see it. So that's what he said. Adhoksaja is like Krishna's sweet will to reveal himself. But the key is, we're told, he's inclined to do that to the devotional heart. Something sweet about the devotee's heart that Krishna wants to encourage him by revealing himself to a certain level. And if you try and force that or freeze that moment, right, like you know, we do with pictures. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says he withdraws and goes far away, because then it would be under your control. And he compares it to lightning. That like, we know before light, there's total darkness, then lightning flashes. For a moment, everything's revealed and clear, and then it goes. And he says, the devotee they're okay with that. That flash of enlightenment, revelation is encouraging enough to them, and they're willing, they go on serving, and whenever that may come in the future or not is not their concern. But if someone tries to step and repeat that process to bring that about, Krishna will withdraw and go far away. So, but Guru Maharaj said, so adhoksaja in its most general representation means Vaikuntha. Right? So, pratyaksha, paroksha, aparoksha, adhoksaja, but the last plane is called aprakrita. And here, this word, and that means Krishna's domain. And the word that's used is very interesting, because many words mean divine or transcendental, like divya. Why use the word aprakrita? The word Prakrita means mundane, but aprakrita means like the mundane, but not. And that's Krishna's domain. Right? We think, like, when I was a teenager and I'd read the Ratha-yatra chapter in Bhagavad-gita, I'd always look forward to that, because I thought it was like psychedelic and a lot of visuals, like infinite avatars and forms. And
That's
I thought,
what you see when you really get high.
right, I'm high on the most high. So, but I thought, like, that's God. But what used to confuse me was that then we're told, and that makes Arjuna lose his composure, and he's somewhat in anxiety seeing all of this, the Virat Rupa. And so Krishna, sensing that, it says, Taneva Rupena Chaturbhujena. Then he assumes his four-armed Vishnu form, and Arjuna starts to calm down. And then he shows his two-armed form of Krishna. And this is the part that confused me at that time. He'd say, this, and it says Saumya-rupa, his form of beauty, reality the beautiful. And Krishna says, this is the ultimate form that the great saints are ever eager to have a glimpse of. In other words, not the one, what I showed you before that. So what you think would be ordinary, 2 arms, we'll think, no, the God, what about one goddess has 10 arms? Oh, isn't there Sahasra Shirsha, 1,000 heads, or 1,000 arms? This is mundane calculation. Guru Maharaj said, quality gives us relief from mathematics. What is the nature of Vrindavan? 2 arms, right? Deceptively simple, right? Aprakrit. And what is Vrindavan? Whereas Dwarka, he's a king, 16,100 princesses and queens. Vaikuntha, majesty of Lakshmi and Narayan. What's Vrindavan? A village life, right? Where, bullock carts, tongas, horse-drawn things. People are walking, barefoot. And what does Kaviraj Goswami say in the Charitamrita? It's 16 kroshas by 16 kroshas, which is around 50 square kilometers for the metrically inclined. So he's saying, and this is bewildering, he's saying the ultimate reality is 50 square kilometers. That sounds very limiting, what he's saying. But what? In the soil of that is the innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And in one section of that are the innumerable material universes. It defies conventional understanding. So a prakrita, and I like to recall when I was here many years ago, you might know Ganga Prasad, one of the local clothiers. There's Mahesh, Ganga Prasad, many. I'm not endorsing any particular one. I don't get a kick, man. I got this charter, and I'm glad I did. But the father was there at the time, and he would always offer us something to drink while we're making purchases. And very often it would be like lemkas, this little, soda drink in a bottle. So one time there, and there's like 4 of us, so they have to go to get 4. And he sends his son to get them, and he goes nearby, and he comes, and he brings 2, and then he goes back, and he gets 2 more. Like that. And he saw a reaction in me, Ganga Prasad. And remember, he's, from Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu told Jagannananda Pandit, don't mix with these people, but also respect them. They're not here for nothing or by accident. But seeing the look on my face, he turned to me and said, Maharaj, he said, we're in Vrindavan, we're not in Vaikuntha. And what he meant was that if we're in Vaikuntha, then he would have been a four-arm form. He could bring four limkas. But because we're in Vrindavan and he only has two arms, he has to go twice. So then I thought, this man knows something. And that's the deceptive charm of Krishna Lila, the simplicity of it. So, and just as a side point, when Uddhava was delivering Krishna's message to the Braja Gopis, he gave another meaning of adhoksaja to them. He said, because they're feeling so much separation. Remember in the letter, Krishna said they should take up yoga and learn how to meditate. God is everywhere, and they're like, this is really. They didn't think it was funny. But at one point, Uddhava says to them, well, you know, one of his names is adhoksaja. Another meaning of adhoksaja means close your eyes. So he said, if you will close your eyes, he will appear to you. And they're very simple, so they all close their eyes, and Krishna appears to them, and they're very happy. And they're thinking, this Uddhava, we could keep him around. But anyway, so the question arises, in the Charitamrita, in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And we want to say here, because Jiva Goswami, he's the scriptural expert. His job, like Guru Maharaj, is Rakkak, to protect Jivade Abharakshitam. He's protecting what is given by Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath, etc. So he's such a scholar. Sri Jiva Dastiti, Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj said, incarnation of Jiva Goswami, meaning in principle, similar service, to supply all the relevant slokas that support all of this. But Rup, and they're just writing madly so many things. He's saying, if you don't believe this or accept this, I'll show you Veda, Purana, etc. to support it all and insulate it from being adulterated or its authenticity being questioned or challenged. But that said, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, here, also his samadhi, he, as we told, what came from Swarup Damodar, Sri Gauramatam, Swarupa Viditam, the karacha, the notes of Swarup Damodar on the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, his internal reason for descent. Raghunath Das is also an eyewitness. Raghunath Das in his final days, with full knowledge of Swarup Damodar's notes and realization and observations, comes here, and in Radha Kunda, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is serving him the way Jiva serves Rupa and Sanatan, and Raghunath transfers the full wealth of Mahaprabhu through Swarup Damodar himself to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And in that book, Chaitanya-charitamrita, and it comes at the Ratha-yatra conception, Ratha-yatra celebration. See, we have to find the connecting thread to all of this. And as we said, and the last time we were speaking, the significance of Kurukshetra, right? Service according to the intensity of its necessity draws remuneration. So I think when we first joined, we thought like, it's just so wonderful and you get swept up in the celebration of it all. But we thought, it's like one pastime they celebrate, and we get to do it with Prabhupada in San Francisco, and he said it's New Jagannath Puri, and we couldn't be happier about the whole thing. But in time we realized this is the pastime that Mahaprabhu and his devotees celebrate year after year. This is what brings them all together. Once a year, Shivananda Sain brings 200 Maha Bhagavatas from Navadvip to Puri, Pratap Maharaj, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Gopinath on the rooftop seeing, Mahaprabhu sending the garlands out to Advaita, Nityananda, and others. They're being identified. It's the pastime it's not just one, it's the most significant one because it's why he came was to relish these sentiments. And there's two zenith points in this sense, Kurukshetra, and this he can do like hidden in full and plain sight because it's a public celebration, but he's saying indecipherable, what's the word, what is the word for cryptic? Cryptic. Things that are hard to understand. Rupa Goswami knows what he's talking about, and Swarup Damodar does. Not everyone does. But they're simple-hearted devotees. Mahaprabhu's giving vent to certain sentiments that are Radharani's sentiments toward Krishna, but not everyone can perceive that, and many things are going on there. Right. At one point, Nityananda sees that he's become Radharani, not only in her mood, just full-blown Radharani, dancing and attracting Jagannath, and so Nityananda stays away, because if he comes before him, he'll resort back to another relationship. So anyway, that pastime, every year they do this, right? Really, for, you could say, 24 years, but then 18 really strongly in the last 12. So, and what's going on there? Right? This separation, zenith point. Oh, I was going to say the other one is the Bhramar-gita, which is where Uddhava revealed that adhoksaja interpretation. And Radharani spins off in her divine madness, apparently angry with Krishna, but expressing all these divine loving sentiments. And where she says, Yadanucharita lila karna piyusha viprut sakrid adanda viruta danda dharma vinashta. If one drop of the nectar of Krishna enters through your ear and touches your heart, your life is ruined. That's what she says. Right? Now suddenly a silence over the crowd. An awkward silence. Is that a good thing? She means your material life is finished. But she says, your life is ruined. Then you can only think about him. And well, that's what we want. We want a moment of that. She and the Brajagopas are saying, if we could get a moment's relief from thinking about Krishna always. But it's just a heartfelt way of, and you say, revealing their obsession with Krishna and that they can never stop thinking of him for a moment. But at any rate, Mahaprabhu is there. And then we hear on the Panchami that follows the Ratha-yatra, and before the return Ratha-yatra, the Lakshmi-vijay comes, otherwise known as Hera Panchami. And that is an occasion of celebration for Mahaprabhu and his devotees. And so it means Lakshmi-vijay. Lakshmi is victorious over whom? Right? So that over Jagannath. And what was the battle about? Well, it all comes out that, and observed by Mahaprabhu and his devotees, that Krishna, who once a year, he's always feeling separation from Vrindavan when he's in Dwaraka. But once a year, it's so overwhelming that he can't control himself. And he experiences this ecstatic transformation where it's so intense. His arms and legs enter his body, his eyes become very big, and he undergoes the ecstatic transformation into Jagannath. And he's there stunned and immobile and feeling the most intense separation from Vrindavan. And then the devotees mercifully, they're going to take him to Vrindavan. So this pastime, Puri is taken to be the representation of Dwaraka, and they're taking Dwaraka Krishna back to Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu is Radharani, dancing and in, like Gandharvika here, Gandharva Rasa Vihar, and dancing and enchanting and taking him there. what am I saying? Oh, so when they're, but, so to assuage the suspicions of the goddess of fortune, who's represented all the different queens, they talk amongst one another and say, sometimes when Krishna is sleeping, he's like calling out the name of different cows. They go, yes, and gopis, yes. And another queen will say, but not like sleep, sometimes like daydreaming, and this is happening. And they're sharing their experiences. And also they're wondering, like, what, it's like maybe some wives saying, like, what was my husband like when he was a teenager? Or his sweetheart back in his hometown. That kind of thing. It happens. So they're wondering, and this Radharani we hear so much about. And now he's saying he wants to visit his hometown, just saying. So what does Krishna say? But I will take Balaram and Subhadra with me. They will, ensure that I behave. Right? So she's saying, all right, like Guru Maharaj said, one gracious visit, you can go, But after a few days, she's like becoming suspicious and like thinking about things. And the whole Balaram Subhadra thing, could be a guise. And so then we're told, what does she do? She assembles her group, gets on the Vaikuntha chariot throne, and then dressed to the nines, so to speak, unparalleled opulence that Lakshmi-Devi is capable of manifesting, surrounded by singers and dancers and an entourage of soldiers. She makes her way toward the Jagannath temple or Gundicha, and demands that Jagannath come out. And we're told Jagannath's people are there, his attendants, and they're saying, please, be calm. And we're told her attendants, they are calling them bad names, they're handcuffing them, this is her victory. And she is on the throne and demanding that Jagannath come out from this. Right. And they're trying to say, soon, he'll be with you soon. It's like, your call is important to us. Right now, we are busy serving other clients. So Mahaprabhu and his devotees, they're watching this. And we're told, they're like giggling, and they're covering their mouths, and they think this is very humorous. But it's not clear, like, how are they seeing this? It's described, and they're seeing it, but, and they think it's really humorous, and it's giving them great delight. And it's also offering an opportunity. So Mahaprabhu turns to Swarup Damodar and he's saying, what is this? Can you explain what we're seeing? And of course Swarup Damodar can. He's saying, yes, it's peculiar because, and he starts giving what they call rasa vishesh. All these intricate descriptions of the different kinds of gopis, their moods, their gestures, and we can't discuss that, but that's what and this is delighting Mahaprabhu. That's why he asked. And the thing we can say is, Swarup Damodar says, yes, normally, if a wife or the beloved is neglected, then, and feeling like this, then she won't dress nicely, she's there morose, like scratching the ground with her finger. He's saying, but who dresses up in their best outfit, puts on all their jewelry, gets on a chariot, and singers and dancers, what is this that Lakshmi Devi is showing? This type of man or loving anger and Aiswargic, majestic assertion of her position. And that leads him to do this analysis of all the different types of gopis and their moods, and it's very sweet and beautiful. And it reminds me, when I first came here to Vrindavan in December of 1973, rebar was sticking out of the sand in Raman Reti. So there was nowhere to stay but little like huts and things, and those beds that are made out of twine. But the cooks were Jamuna, of cookbook fame, that Jamuna, and this one disciple of Saraswati Thakur named, everyone called Anand Maharaj. And he was a jolly, sprightly devotee. And he would serve as prasadam. I found out later from Srila Govinda Maharaj, when I mentioned it, he said, "Oh, Ananda Leelamaya Vigraha Prabhu." That's the first line of a verse of Bodhananda Saraswati Thakur. It appears in the Chaitanya Bhagavad also. Anand, Mahaprabhu is the Ananda Leelamaya Vigraha. Moy, here it's Moy, Ananda Leelamaya. And we have a devotee, Ananda Vigraha. But here, Ananda Leelamaya Vigraha. And Gurudev said, but everyone called him Anand, you know. And he said, he was Saraswati Thakur's personal cook. I was like, oh my, no wonder. Because every day we were like astonished at what we were taking. But he would hear the names of the devotees, like, what is your name? My name at the time was Dira Krishna. And he goes, oh, Dira Krishna, Dira Lalita, Dira Naika, Dira Shanta, Dira, from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these different types of Diras. And he would, Yudhisthira, Dira, and he would impersonate all the different Diras, which means he was familiar with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and then it alludes to the Swarup Damodar's analysis of all these different types of gopis. Anyway, that gives Mahaprabhu great joy to hear Swarup Damodar discuss these things. And at that point, then Srivas Thakur, seeing an opportunity, he says, yes, but look at the opulence of the goddess of fortune. And like, there's no comparison between that Vaikuntha, Aiswarja, and Vrindavan. What do they have in Vrindavan? Some trees, cows, flowers. What are they? There's no comparison between Vaikuntha and Vrindavan, right? But he's saying that because he wants Swarup Damodar to come out. And Mahaprabhu, he says, Srivas, be careful what you say around Ramananda, because he is a Shuddha Brijbasi. And Aiswarja, majestic, that's not a word, it's not in his dictionary, that word. So, back off. But then now Ramananda's been activated. He can't, Swarup Damodar. He has to come out and say something. And he says, Srivas, I think you've lost your mind. You're becoming forgetful of certain things. And I think this Aiswarja has overwhelmed you, which is also a pun because Srivas Thakur is Narada. Just like Sachi Mata said to Malini, she said, is your husband, is he playing Narada? Looks just like Narada, because he is Narada. It's like, he does a really good Narada. Yeah, he is, you know. So, Swarup Damodar says, you've lost your mind. I guess it's temporary insanity. So we can write it off as that. He said, but remember, what's the difference between Vaikuntha and Vrindavan? Saying, back to Kaviraj Goswami, those 50 square kilometers, he's saying, in one drop of the soil of Vrindavan, are the unlimited, innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And so how can we, we just have to take that on faith, or is there some example you can give? He said, like when you have sugarcane juice. When you have sugarcane juice, you have this huge vat of sugarcane juice. Then you start cooking it. And as you cook it, it starts condensing and concentrating. It becomes molasses. And if you concentrate it further, it becomes gur. And if you concentrate it further, in the end, like rubbery with milk, but here the same thing with sweetness, you have this one like rock candy, but this vast sweetness has been concentrated into one drop. So he's saying, if you take all the opulence of Vaikuntha and all the opulence of Dwaraka, it will concentrate into one drop, one particle of the soil of Vrindavan. And from that soil, like we hear, cinta-mani prakarasadmasu kalpa-vriksha lakshavrateshu, there's the mythical cinta-mani gem. And that cinta-mani gem, right, cinta-mani, it's spiritually conscious gem. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Jai. Dandavad. So the cinta-mani gem, Swarup Damodar, he quotes the Krishna Karnamritam of Bilvamangal Thakur and says, Chintamani's charana bhushana mangananam sringara pushpa taravas taravat suranam Vrindavane brajadanam nanukama denu Vrindani cheti sukha sindhu aho vibhuti. Aho means, oh, the vibhuti, the opulence of Vrindavan. So one cinta-mani gem, there's more, how do you say, Aishwarja, like majestic aspect, but also enriched with sweetness. One cinta-mani gem has more opulence than the whole of Vaikuntha, Dwaraka, and everything. One cinta-mani gem from that soil of Vrindavan. And what does this say? Chintamani's charana bhushana mangananam. He said, and the Braja Gopis, what do? They take cinta-mani gems and string them and wear them as anklets on their holy lotus feet. And you said they just have cows. What are those cows? They're called Surabhi cows, Kamadenu. They give unlimited, they supply everything for the seva of Krishna. And you said there's just some trees and flowers. What are those trees? They're kalpa-vriksha trees. So they're kalpa-vriksha trees, the cows are kamadenu, and they're wearing cinta-mani gems as anklets on their holy lotus feet. And what is that place? The toyam amritam, the water is nectar, kataganam natyagamanam, all speech is song, all movement is dance. And then we're told, and Srivas starts dancing and going crazy. He's so happy that he got him to come. It was all teasing. He just wanted him to come out and say these, and all the devotees, and they're all happy to hear these things. And so Vaikuntha becomes nothing in comparison to a drop of the soil of Vrindavan. What is Vrindavan? A prakrita lila. Appears to be mundane, but is not. In what human-like dimensions, Krishna Rajateka Kela Sarvatam Nara Lila Nara Vaputara Swarup Gopavesh Venukar Navakishore Natavar Nara Lila Hoyana Rup. All in human dimensions. The human-like pastimes of Krishna. Right? They are the template for human civilization, Guru Maharaj said. Like the man made in the image and likeness of God. And woman? Where, must be, oh, I see. Then you have to go to Krishna conception to answer that question. Right. Predominated moiety, predominating moiety. So that's all described in the Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu. And by his grace, and we're here in Vrindavan at this holy place, inconceivable good fortune. And what was I going to say? That in conclusion, that I like to call it the time that Srila Gurudev got a phone call from Rupa Goswami. That we know Gurudev's phone, this is in the day of landlines. You can look it up on Wikipedia. His phone was dead. But every now and then he'd just pick it up to see if there's any dial tone, nothing, put it down. And be talking to people, pick it up, nothing, put it down. Then one day he just picked it up and there's a voice on the other end. And I think it's Krishna Bala Prabhu, or something, and he's saying about this place being available, the place of Rupa Goswami. Because Gurudev said, you see that one courtyard of Radha Damodar across from Jiva Goswami Krishnadas, where many, many gurus are there, and Gurudev, just long story short, all sahajiyas. And you go, no, I saw Bhakti Siddhanta. Yeah, someone paid for it to be there. It's all purchased. And not approved by Guru Maharaj, not approved by Gurudev. And Gurudev said, the thought of placing Guru Maharaj there is intolerable to me. That he will be thrown in with all these sahajiyas. I can't tolerate that. And what was his approach to Vrindavan? The outskirts of town, like Uddhava, asamaho charanenu jashama hangsham, a blade of grass, a creeper. So when they're walking, some of the dust will come upon my head and thereby consecrate my existence. So he has a little place on the outskirts of town, Maharajna. But this phone call, Krishna Ballabh saying that this place is available. Right next to, you can't get any closer to Srila Rupa Goswami, respectfully. And he said, and there are other people, they're offering me twice as much, 3 times as much, and more, but I will not sell it to them because they're not qualified. Only you. This is an offer that's only being made to you because you're the only qualified person that this property can come to. And of course, Srila Gurudev responded and he said, yes. So Rupa Goswami, because Guru Maharaj is the rupa-nuga dhara. He is carrying the line, thought, current of Rupa Goswami to this day. Right. So he said, yes, Guru Maharaj, he's qualified. Guru Maharaj will be this close to his master and Mr. Sri Rupa Goswami. That's the significance of this. That Rupa Goswami is putting Guru Maharaj in the shade of his holy lotus feet. And because of Srila Gurudev's mercy upon all of us, engaging us in the service of the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj, we're all assembled here. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So, perhaps to sing a song or...
Yes.
What song can be sung? What are we allowed to sing in this month? Or Hari Haraye.
Hey Deva Bhavantam.
That would be nice. Do you have your...
Yes, ma'am.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your beloved? All right.
Quite unwell,
Oh, he's unwell.
but here in heart.
Yes, but I want him to be here in voice.
He wants to be here in voice as well.
Maharaj is just simply flowing straight
Okay.
down, not visual.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan.
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 Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan.
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan.
Kalindi Jamuna Jayo Jayo Mahavan.
Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan.
Deshi Gata Bangshi Bata Dara Sakanan.
Deshi Gata Vanshi Gata Dada Shakanan.
Jaha Shabolila Kwelo Srinanda Nandan.
Jashavalila Koyo Srinanda Nandan.
Srinanda Jashoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan.
Srinanda Yashoda Jaya Jaya Gopalan.
Sridhamadi Jaya Jaya Zenu Bhattagan.
Sri Ramani Jaya Jaya Zenu Vatsagan.
Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirti Dasundari.
Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtida Sundari.
Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhinagari.
Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhinagari.
Jaya Jaya Gopeshara Vrindavana Ma.
Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavana Ma.
Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Bhatu Dijara.
Jaya Jaya Krishna Shaka Bhatu Dijara.
Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nandan.
Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nandan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Bhati Gata Jan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana.
Jaya Dija Patni Jaya Naga Kanya Gan.
Jaya Krishna Patni Jaya Naga Pranam.
Bhakti Teja Hara Pailo Govinda Charan.
Bhakti Teja Hara Pailo Govinda Charan.
Sri Radha Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Syam.
Sri Radha Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam.
Jaya Jaya Rasa Leva Sava Manoram.
Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Sava Manoram.
Jaya Jaya Ujjala Rasa Sava Rasa Sar.
Jaya Jaya Ujjala Rasa Sava Rasa Sar.
Bharakiya Bhave Jaha Prajete Prachar.
Bharakiya Bhave Jaha Prajete Prachar.
Sri Janava Para Padma Kori Asmaran.
Sri Janava Para Padma Kori Asmaran.
Nina Krishna Dasa Kohe Namo Sankirtan.
Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Namo Sankirtan.
Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhata Raghunath.
Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhata Raghunath.
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunath.
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunath.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo.
Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo.
Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo.
Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo.
Jai Saprika Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhava Rasa Bihari Ju ki Jai. Jai Navadip Saprika Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Ju ki Jai. Jai Sri Radha Damodar Ju ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajak Astathar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajak Astathar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakko Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Jai Shri rupa-nuga Guru Vaga ki Jai. Jai Shri Seva Kunj ki Jai. Jai Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki Jai. Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai. Shri Radha Chayal Chikan ki Jai. And Sanatana Goswami Sri Giriraj Shila ki Jai. Jai Shri Sri Bhakti Swami Prabhupad ki Jai. Jai Sri Sad-Goswami ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Parikrama ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Vigrahanyasi Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Amrit Mahavir Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya-charitamrita Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. All the unassembled devotees ki Jai. Shri Brajabasigan ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhu Sridhar Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki
Jai.
Jai Go Premanande.